Tested in the past for a senatorial seat. I don't know where you'll be going next, but you're active in there. So it seemed to us that as an old friend of the house, you're a fine person to, talk about, after the election, the way forward, the task ahead of the incoming administration.
Thank you, Uncle Yori. Let me first and foremost congratulate the President-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his victory at the polls, and his vice presidential candidate, who is now the Vice President-elect, and Nigerians for their resilience, doggedness, and commitment to democratic ideals. In spite of, politics is about settlement negotiation. Nation building is also the same. Uncle Yori, we have mismanaged diversity in Nigeria, but there are ways to go about that. That is that Mr. Party, and therefore pragmatic politician like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is a grandmaster, should be commended for his doggedness. So also for the opposition, because without opposition, you are not likely to have a democracy that will give equal opportunities, engender growth, and sustainable self-development. Now, setting an agenda for Mr. President-elect: reforms, reforms, and reforms.
Okay, at that stage,
reform of the economy.
At that stage, you will continue, but at that stage, I wanted to throw in the fact that when I introduced you, many will know that you're the former Postmaster General, but nowadays you are more closely linked or identified with GAIN, which is an acronym for Grassroots Addressing an Identity Network. And it says here that initiatives that drive growth.
Absolutely, sustainable growth, and I was going there.
Because so when the word growth that triggered.
Yeah, when I said reforms, 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 this will encapsulate security, economy, how to grow the economy, and then how to reduce poverty.
Necessarily to address.
So, the shortcoming of NIL, which can be improved upon, that is what we call curable defect, is that you must integrate NIL to a physically verifiable and address that you can validate, as they do in other jurisdictions. In UK, it is called proof of address. In the US, it is called address validation. Okay?
And in Nigeria, it is called?
In Nigeria, we hardly do address verification of...
Because banks do it.
They do it. Let me just explain. Before I became Postmaster General, addresses in Nigeria were analog. So banks were verifying analog addresses of 15 to 20%.
Okay, they come on foot to the plate.
WISIS is an affiliate of International. And there are tools that we can use. Can I just address this from the background of being a lawyer and a tech enthusiast and health and nutrition enthusiast? I've veered into many areas when I got whimsically removed as Postmaster General. That is a story for another day. But here is the case. A mix of post administration will just be talking about selling of stamps. It's understandable. And I can say this, before I became Postmaster General, I had no idea about address because I grew up in Ibadan. NW1/333 Chief Agbaje Memorial Street, Aye Ibadan, not West Ibadan. From there, moved to SW8.
Which is an analog address.
Oh, up till now, that's what they still use.
That's what they still use. And you said that all of this is analog. And a lot of what you've said actually is going in the direction of
credible, convincing evidence there in the majority. So what do? You think out of the box to come up with ideas on how to mobilize them. Look, these are guys who are owners of startups. Thank God.
Because this is where they'll gravitate to. When you hear your own language.
Business who can drive the free of charge. So, in closing regarding how to mobilize the youth, the youth of Nigeria, I have children at home. These guys are cosmopolitan. And we must begin to learn how to play cosmopolitan politics.
Because they
without, for God's sake, endangering local peculiarities. The youth of Nigeria must not walk in the wrong direction.
You know, at this stage, let me bring in a viewer has called in. Good morning, Mr. George, calling in from Ikeja.
Good morning, Uncle Yuri.
Thank you for calling.
Good morning to your guest.
Yes.
Good morning.
Uncle Yuri, I remember your guest had been on this program before when he was bringing some innovation to post office administration. I think this is the time we can approach the coming administration with such technology. Secondly, Uncle Yuri, the northern governors, as we have always discussed on this program, they have set a tone for national unity, equity, and national integration. I think it is to be nice for the country to sustain it. Right now, Uncle Yuri, there is some horse trading going on at the National Assembly about who becomes the next Senate President and the Speaker. I'm not a member of the APC, but in the interest of equity and national integration, I would suggest to the APC that has the majority of members in the Senate that they should zone this Senate presidency to the southeast. We are hearing names of people who are from the north coming to the forefront in that place. I, as a person, it's just my own opinion.
Yeah, I get you.
It ought to be zoned to the. And then what happened to the APC in 20?
Leapfrog and propel Nigeria, which unfortunately was described by